involved with this decision. So you'll work it out, you and your staff. And Member Perez, you had a question or a final thought?
Yeah, a couple of questions. So, like I tell my children, not complaining, just explaining. So, we are at 22% COVID in this community. Last year, when it was at 5%, at 7% is when we would put things in place. At 22%, it's high. So we have children sitting shoulder to shoulder in our lunchrooms, and in our lunchrooms they take off their masks to eat. I have a couple of community members who have called me, said their kids are afraid to even eat lunch because they're sitting so close to each other. So and I've called you regarding this, so if you have mitigation strategies, why were they not implemented prior to our numbers being 10,000 in quarantine?
Yes, Mr. the Chair. We have mitigation strategies for our common areas, for our lunchrooms, related to our classrooms, remove equipment, remove materials, remove furniture, so we can have that social distance where we can. I've been clear from day one related to two areas that we struggle to be able to social distance. The first one is on the bus. Very hard and complex to be able to social distance. It's almost impossible. We try to do it where our buses hold three, for some of our little ones, some of our 77 capacity buses, we can put 3 per seat. We've been putting 2. And as you get into a lunchroom, it's about space. Some of our schools are so old, our lunchroom capacity is so little. So being able to social distance, to have sufficient time as it's regulated from federal guidance, is hard to do. In addition to that, being able to have proper coverage. When we talk about healthy schools and food nutrition, we're having a hard time for supervision to make certain we have staff to serve food to our students. And in addition to be able to have and hire support staff to be able to supervise while they're in lunch, as the lunch is a time that's contractually where teachers have 30 minutes to be able to have their time to let their hair down, run errands, eat their lunch. Those are all things they need to do. The issue is being able to have finances, funds, and people to be able to come in, to be able to expand, to go to a multi-purpose room, to be able to go to a particular auditorium, to be able to go outside with supervision, to be able to use and leverage a classroom where needed. So those are things we're looking at, how we could use and potentially leverage ESSER funding. And I say APR 3 because right now we just don't have the money to make that a reality. So those are the two that we've been very transparent for the last 18 months. It's hard to get it done. School and education wasn't built to social distance, but we'll do everything we can to be able to help in that process.
So those two areas are not going to happen within 48 hours.
Let's be no, ma'am. I'm just being very honest with you.
And this question is, so with our children who had their medical notices from last year,
yes,
will they be able to use them this year?
Yes, ma'am, through the chair. If the decision is made, we'll be able to, schools hub those, we'll be able to potentially roll over. And the biggest thing we'll have to do is figure out how we have transitions from a 5th grader to 6th grade, from an 8th grader to 9th grade, as those individuals will be going to a different school. So we'll make certain that we make that identification so that students can be, disruption-free and continue that process.
Thank you. Whoops. Okay, I'll get it there. Thank you, Member Perez. And I know Member Vaughn wants to do an addition. Mr. Porter, can you help Member Vaughn through this? Should she need a little bit of assistance?
Member Vaughn wants to say, and then I can assist.
Go ahead. Member Vaughn?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know we're anxious to get on the vote and see where this leads. I just would like to offer an amendment to allow the review of this in 30 days to see if we need to continue this for another 30 days.
So that's an amendment that requires a second and then a vote on the amendment. So if you're in favor of reviewing this in 30 days, someone needs to second it. If there's no second, it dies. Okay, there's no second. That doesn't preclude you from looking at this in 30 days, but it just doesn't require it.
Okay.
So now you have the main motion on the floor, and when you're ready, Madam Chair, we can repeat
the motion.
So this is the motion on the floor made by Member Combs. Based on the latest data on the impact of COVID on Hillsborough County Public Schools, there is an immediate danger to the public health, safety, and welfare. Therefore, Member Combs moves that we reinstate the facial covering requirement found in the district's reopening plan for the 2021 school year, previously approved by the state, for all students, teachers, and staff of Hillsborough County Public Schools for 30 days starting tomorrow, August 19th. And you'll recall that Ms. Brown provided you the opt-out form that will be made part of the record. That's the medical opt-out. The superintendent has committed that those parents who opted out last year will automatically be opted out, which I think furthers the compliance with the state rule that allows parents to opt out. So again, our position, if this passes, will be we're in compliance with the regulation because we are allowing for an opt-out. The rule does not preclude or prohibit requiring a medical update. I'll remind you again, the state has rejected that argument that I just made, and there's a risk that they will find us in non-compliance and the district will suffer penalties. But that's where the motion is, and that's going to be our legal position if the motion passes.
Okay, please vote when your lights are on to the motion at hand. Yes or no? Okay, the motion carries. Member Washington, Member Vaughn, Member Perez, Member Gray, Member Combs, dissenting, Member Snively, and Member Hahn. Thank you, board members, for all of your great questions, your thorough recommendations. And by the way, you know, even though one succeeds or one doesn't succeed, we have learned a lot. The Superintendent Davis and member Miss Morano, Miss Brown, the folks in the medical team, nothing has been wasted during this meeting. Nothing. So we're all going to go ahead. We're going to this quarantine, and I thank you, Member Snively and Member Hahn, and the rest of you for bringing out this quarantine, the nightmare. So we can hope to get better on that. I hope I see shaking of the heads, but maybe we'll get there later. Okay, board members, done.